Hello, people of the internet. This is Kaiji Noir,
And Pete.
and this is our review for perhaps the most unlikely film that we ever thought we were going to review, The Spy, the new Melissa McCarthy spy action comedy that premiered, and we saw, and I think it's best you introduce this review and how exactly we came to saw this movie.
Oh, okay, it was due to me, but okay, so I had to work a late shift, and I had been asked if I wanted to go watch a movie via my girlfriend, and I asked her what movie, and she said Spy. And I asked her, "Oh, which one's that? What's that movie?" She's like, "Oh, it's that Melissa McCarthy movie." And I was like, "Well, I already have plans."
Because I was here at your house.
You were here waiting for me. You didn't even know any about this until I got home. But I mean, from her previous work, I wasn't really in the mood to watch what I thought I would be watching.
Right, because she kind of got her start with Bridesmaids, and that seemed to be a very popular movie. Was a big hit with audiences. Kind of like people saw it as like the female Hangover, and I just didn't got a chance to see it because I wasn't so much that interested in it.
Well, and for me, it was more of I think it was that was the Heat.
The Heat and Tammy.
Yeah. So I mean,
She's kind of grown this shtick of hers,
Yeah.
where she's like this I'm the big fat loudmouth woman who is constantly making the movies that make fun of my weights.
and I really wasn't too into that. So
Yeah, I don't know, something about fat jokes. It just seems a bit too easy. Fat jokes and fart jokes.
And again, I think the Heat was like a buddy cop movie, right?
Sandra Bullock, yeah,
it was,
with her,
it was like a buddy, and I was afraid this is going to be the exact same thing.
with her and Jason Statham.
But a spy as opposed to a cop,
Yeah,
like a buddy
and,
spy.
and we've seen plenty of spy parodies, but at this point, so it's like, what can this movie really do that hasn't been done before?
So I really didn't want to go out. I had initially said no, and it wasn't until I got home and asked you, like, well, I got an offer. Do you want to go?
And I was like, you know what? I've actually been hearing some good things about this movie. I know, surprisingly.
And that took me aback.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
When he said that,
You're like, the fuck?
I had to take a look, and I say it's gotten some pretty. It's got a good reviews on Metacritic. It's got some good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And normally, I don't let that necessarily influence what movie I do and don't watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I want to watch a movie, I'll go fucking watch it, whether it's a bad or good movie.
Yeah. I mean, well, what was that movie you saw? You saw Poltergeist, right?
I saw Poltergeist. I saw Pitch Perfect 2. God, don't even get me started on that.
What was that one that gave you seizures? No, not seizures. It gave your girlfriend nausea.
That was Paranormal Activities, the Mexican edition.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. I remember you saw that.
Yeah.
You saw that after we did our review, right?
I think that was actually before, but we didn't even get to watch it. I know.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to watch it because we had to leave shortly after. And of course, this is totally off topic, but the guy in the inside is like, "Oh, too scary, huh?" No, just very, very, very annoying and vomit-inducing because of your freaking shaky cam.
How about you go fuck yourself?
Exactly. So,
So Spy.
yeah, so Spy. Anyways, long story short, we looked up the reviews. We were like, all right, fuck it, let's go watch it, and had a good time.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly decent movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it was funny. It was charming, and it was kind of clever in several ways. So yeah, the basic plot to Spy is that Melissa McCarthy plays Susan Cooper. She's like the person. She's not the field agent going out there kicking ass, being all gun-toting James Bond and whatnot.
She's
the person behind the spy.
Yeah, she's the eyes, basically.
Yeah, she is like watching over her partner's actions like a hawk, and eventually she pines for him. She's like, oh, I want to be with this person, but he doesn't notice me because I'm fat and I don't have.
I'm not interesting.
I don't have a lot of self-confidence. My self-esteem is at an all-time low. I'm just here working with the other computer chicks down in the basement. And so eventually her partner, what was it? Bradley Fine?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Bradley Fine, played by Jude Law. He gets killed in a mission, and so she takes it upon herself to go out there and look up information on the person that killed him, because she is technically the least likely person that they'll suspect. And so eventually she goes on this mission to track down this person, and hijinks ensues when Jason Statham, I guess you can say a rival spy, attempts to get to the villain before her and fails miserably.
Now, keep in mind, the reason why they actually have to send her, though, is because everyone's been compromised. They know the identity of every other spy, so they have to use someone that's face hasn't been out there before.
Right, and surprisingly, it's I love it. It kind of foreshadowed the fact that Susan does have some really kick-ass, what would you call it? Some kick-ass skills as a spy, back from her training days.
Like she says, she technically is an agent.
Oh yeah, she's gone through the whole training, even if it has been several years, and so. It's really kind of odd.
I'm still baffled.
I'm still. It's still confusing at this as well. But I've mentioned where the character where she kind of plays like the big, large, obnoxious woman, large in more meaning in more ways than one. And here she kind of plays. She tones it down a lot. They don't do a lot of fat jokes. Probably the most obvious one being like the scooter one. Who puts a roof on a scooter? Yeah. And I guess it is kind of funny when they kind of put her through that what do you call it, that running gag of her having to put on numerous personas and disguises as these lonely and unattractive women. But I guess, first off, sorry if I do that little laugh. I know I'm just working on it, but I just did it again. Jason Statham.
Oh my God! Yes,
he was probably the best part about this movie. Now, personally, I'm also not that big a fan of Jason Statham because Jason Statham. He plays the same bloody character in all his bloody movies. The Stone Cold Killer in every action movie he's ever been in.
Which makes it all the more better that he plays a parody of himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost weird. He's kind of doing like these Chuck Norris style jokes about himself. It's like, I've been doing all this crazy shit. I was once jumped out of a train in a car on fire. Not the car. I was on fire. I was on fire.
I kind of want to rewatch that movie just for him.
And he's really played up as a joke where it's like no one takes him seriously just because of all the stuff that he's done. And he thinks he's tough shit. He thinks he can do everything better than her, and he just fails in every single way.
He goes as far as to quit his job so he can go solo and do whatever the hell he wants.
Which kind of sounds like your typical Jason Statham movie. I'm going to go rogue to track down the killer of my buddy.
Yeah.
And yet, he fails because, of course, he has no support with him.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And his overconfidence is just beyond stupid.
Right.
I mean, okay, I have to say this. I mean, come on, you're a bald guy with a very distinct, cut, face shape. Come on. At least near the end, he wears a wig.
But yeah, and again, they make fun of him for putting on a pathetic disguise.
It's just like, come on.
And the other character that's definitely worth noting is Nancy, who is Susan's best friend, and she's very likable. She definitely has her moments, and she's kind of the best friend who just gets really overly excited and hyper and quick to panic.
Very awkward too. She has a very unique accent. What would you call her accent as?
Well, it's definitely an English accent.
It is.
However, I know there's different kinds of English accents.
It's like an obnoxious sort of English. That sounds terrible saying that. But her voice sometimes was like a little irritating, and you're like, maybe
she's supposed to be like the unattractive best friend to make the star look better.
I think that's what they were going for.
Possibly.
Because she's at the same time she's not very bright either.
Yeah.
And maybe she's
maybe because Susan kind of goes through this transformation, so her best friend is kind of a representation of who she was before in comparison to who she becomes now. And I gotta say, I really like the character arc that Melissa McCarthy's character goes through, where it's a journey of self-discovery, a journey of like building self-confidence, climbing out of the shadow of her partner, and making it out on her own as a fully fledged field agent. And I really do want to get into the ending, but I don't want to spoil the ending. But I'm really glad it did not go into a romantic direction. Because I feel like had they gone into a romantic direction, try and make a focus on the on that aspect of the plot.
It would weaken.
Yeah,
you know,
it would undermine the overall message of this story, which was, this wasn't about her trying to get a man, but rather it was her, trying to not create a new identity, but try to make, like I mentioned, it was a journey of self-discovery, and it was her
she's good enough
coming into her own.
It's like she's good enough to do whatever she wants.
Right. She did not relying on someone, but instead finding like independence, finding confidence in herself to complete these actions, and yeah, it really worked.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is I do have to question like how she goes from like one attitude to another so quickly. As of course she's playing a character for the situation that she's in, but like it just. We don't see where she learns some of her language or learns some of her mannerisms.
I think that comes from a lot of pent up anger, because in the beginning of the movie she deals with so much bullshit in her life that she just wishes. Yeah, have you been in those situations where like you feel like you want to just cuss somebody out, but you can't because either you don't want to lose your job, you don't want to lose your girlfriend, you don't want to get kicked out of your parents' house. But in this case, she deals with a lot of crap from people, and so there's this really cool part of the film where she just lays it down.
Yes,
she gets real. She gets up front. She gets into people's faces and kind of does that Melissa McCarthy shtick that she's known for, but it's cleverly used in this way.
And in this case, it's used as part of a disguise to save her life,
as
opposed to it being her actual personality.
Right. But you can tell that a lot of her, she puts a lot of her own self into that persona.
What'd you think about the female antagonist? I think this is her name. I'm not too sure, but
Katie Dippold. That's Catherine.
I think that was her.
You think that's her? Well, I gotta say, it takes a lot to make a character so goddamn unlikable.
So unlikable, but so...
I don't know what is it with
fucking hair.
I don't know. Do you think, is it considered a stereotype where it's like women are prone to be bitchy towards each other, to be awful to one another?
Taken to the extreme in this, it is a stereotype. Honestly, it really is. But
it kind of reminds me of that Family Guy joke where it's like these two girls are hanging out and they're just making condescending backhanded remarks to each other, whereas the two guys are hanging out and they're very upfront, and followed by the song "Men Bum Bum Bum." We know how to be friends.
But so I how did you feel about her character? Because I personally I loved to hate her.
Yes. Okay. I loved it whenever Susan got back at her. I was like, yes.
Oh God, just the way. How do we describe her character without like spoiling it, or just like
she's a bitch.
Yeah, and she's not a bitch. She's a megalomaniac bitch.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to mention is it has really competent action sequences because
yeah,
I gotta say there's actually stakes involved. It actually feels like these characters can get hurt and most likely can die in these situations. And the fight sequence between the knife fight. In the kitchen, the knife fight in the kitchen was so well choreographed, and it kind of reminded me like a comedic Jackie Chan style of fighting, where Jackie Chan would just like get any sort of object that he can get his hands on and just uses it to just try to fend off his foes.
And it's funny because whenever there'd be like when she got an opening and managed to get a whack in, everyone would just be like, "Oh," because this movie was brutal.
Oh, that's why I love it. This movie does not pull any punches when it comes to the violence because it's an R-rated movie, and they made damn well sure that this was going to satisfy, I guess, people who would come for like that spy angle more so than the comedy, but. Yeah, that was really not surprising, especially, there's blood involved.
There's a penis.
There's vomit involved.
But yeah, oh man, that specific fight scene was fucking fantastic. I loved it. Oh God.
The biggest problem, I mean, not getting to the narrative, which I'll get into that part, but the biggest issue is, I guess, Susan herself, because let's face it, Melissa McCarthy, in no way would she realistically be able to perform any of those stunts. I mean, For one thing, she seems to have the ability to teleport because she's able to catch up with the people. She's running. She's chasing after people a lot in these movies.
And
in this movie, and she manages to miraculously catch up to them.
And it's funny because we specifically see scenes where like she's chasing someone that gets really tired really quickly and she can't make it. But on another chase, she's on him the whole time.
And then there was one scene where Nancy, she runs out of breath to the point where it's like she has to take a breather for like a good 5 minutes, and she's in much better shape than Susan was.
That part was just ridiculous. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like she can barely walk. No.
And I can get behind the idea that Susan could like defend herself in a hand-to-hand combat, but there's this one moment where she does a Black Widow from the Avengers movies, where she lifts herself off the ground, spins herself around the enemy, try to do the whole Black Widow using her body weight to her advantage, throwing her body weight at her opponent, but she does so in such a ridiculous way. I'm like, hold on.
Oh, obviously that's the joke.
Yes, I guess so. It's kind of hard to criticize a comedy for their action if, the comedy aspect is made to be,
That's exactly what
the point.
Yeah.
But then again, the action sequences are tended to be taken more seriously, trying pass off as like a legit action movie.
Yeah, that fight on the roof, or the death scene on the roof, is great too. Where the guy falls and gets impaled.
Oh yeah, and her reaction is just it feels real. It's like oh god, I killed someone. Oh god.
And again, it was so brutal. Like, we see someone's throat just get completely dissolved. I loved it. Oh god, I don't know. I mean, there was just so much fun stuff in this movie. It's a fun ride the whole way, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the biggest issue I had with this movie is that its story is rather predictable.
Oh, I mean, come on!
Within the first 5 minutes of the movie, you and I
looked at each other.
Like, I made a prediction. You made a prediction. Both our predictions came true.
I mean, what else can you say? But we went into the movie knowing that too. Did we not?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really knew what the story was going to be about. Other than Melissa McCarthy.
We had a feeling. As soon as we get into a few minutes of the plot.
Okay,
we knew. I don't know. I had a feeling that as soon as we got into it, we would know what was going to happen, because it's a very simple plot.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's a simple plot with just a string of jokes along the way, and those jokes worked, and the characters I think made up for that story itself.
Yeah, I mean, as old and as tired as the story is, the characters made it its own. The characters make it fun.
And hey, there's some really entertaining explosions and knife fights and hand-to-hand combat along the way. So, with nothing left to say, I'd say it's best to go into our final thoughts.
All right. Well, I personally enjoyed the movie. It was a surprising enjoyment in my eyes, and I think I'd watch it again if I was watching it with. I think you said this too, actually, and you were I guess I'm stealing this from you. Sorry, it's mine now. You said you would watch it with someone that hadn't seen it again, and I could definitely see me doing that, or watching it maybe on TV with a group of friends, or no, like renting it for like a big group of friends, and we're all just watching at home. That's the only time I can see myself ever really watching it again. Never by myself. I mean, this is a movie that's meant to be enjoyed with a group of friends.
Yeah. It's definitely a movie worth red boxing.
Oh yeah, definitely a good time. But again, I would say watch it with a group or with someone else as opposed to by yourself. So other than that, surprisingly fun movie. Rent it, watch it. I'd say I'd give it 3. I'd give it more like a 2.75.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I lied. A 3. I'm indecisive right now. I'm thinking about the movie. I remember I had a good time with it, but I know it's
not breaking new ground.
Exactly. That's why it's like
there are movies that you come out and was like, damn, that was a funny movie, and there's movies that was like, holy shit, my gut was bursting, or I was on the edge of pissing my pants laughing. I didn't have that reaction. I don't think you did either. No. But I say, you know what? That was really good. I am glad that I saw that. That blew my expectations. And my expectations were really low to begin with.
Exactly. That was the best part. I'm like, no. Yeah. I don't want to watch this movie. This is a piece of shit. Well, would you watch it again?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching it again, but
by yourself.
Not so much. I'm pretty much with you with what you just said, which was what I said.
I know, right?
Yeah, like, just watch it with a friend, watch it with, family or whatever. Or maybe not so much with family. It doesn't really, unless your family is comprised of adults, because it's an R-rated comedy.
Unless you want your family looking at a penis at the same time with you, which would make a situation very
I don't
awkward.
know. Have a feeling that you're making a bigger deal out of that than it was actually.
I felt like it was so out of place. I really do.
I guess so. I mean, sex jokes were really. Oh yeah, the one guy, the one. What's his name? The guy with the accent who was constantly flirting with every woman he came across, like kind of like a European Johnny Bravo type of character.
And even him, I mean, as far as as perverted things go, I thought he would be the extent of it. I think the penis, I thought that was just out of place. He was okay. I thought that just went like, why would you even include this? It's just so random. Okay, I don't know.
But anyways, I mentioned before, 3 out of 5. It's definitely worth checking out. And even if you're not a Melissa McCarthy fan, I'd say it's worth it just to see Jason Statham alone.
Hey, I'm not a Melissa McCarthy fan. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I will see not Ghostbusters. I was going to see Bridesmaids to prepare myself for that new all-female Ghostbusters. Yeah, who knows? The director. I think this is the same director who's going to be doing Ghostbusters because he did Bridesmaids. So if this is the level of action and comedy, I'm starting to have high hopes for the new Ghostbusters now.
Bring it on.
I think that's what better way to end this review. So I have been Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir,
And Pete.
and until next time, everybody, take care.